Ladies and gentlemen, may we have your attention, please? Ladies and gentlemen, may we have your attention, please? The United Nations Department of Safety and Security would like to advise you that in the event of an emergency in this room, please use the closest door marked with an... Ladies and Ladies and gentlemen, may we have your attention, please? Ladies and gentlemen, may we have your attention, please? The United Nations Department of Safety and Security would like to advise you that in the event of an emergency in this room, please use the close... Ladies and gentlemen, may we have your attention, please? Ladies and gentlemen, may we have your attention, please? The United Nations Department of Safety and Security would like to advise you that in the event of an emergency in this room, please use the closest door marked with an exit sign. Upon exiting, you will be directed by security and safety personnel and directional exit signs to a designated safe area. At this time, please take a brief moment to locate the exit closest to you. We thank you for your attention to this very important safety message. Ladies and gentlemen, may we have your attention, please? Ladies and gentlemen, may we have your attention, please? The United Nations Department of Safety and Security would like to advise you that in the event of an emergency in this room, please use the closest door marked with an exit sign. Upon exiting, you will be directed by security and safety personnel and directional exit signs to a designated safe area. At this time, please take a brief moment to locate the exit closest to you. We thank you for your attention to this very important safety message.
Them imbibe climate-friendly lifestyles.
I'm thinking climate.
Climate.
interface with our communities and schools in order to access the carbon market and reinvest the income in building environmental projects.
I'm taking climate action by engaging in tree planting exercises, organizing of climate.
Disengaged.
Dear leaders,
Dear leaders,
Dear leaders,
We, the largest generation of young people in history, are already leading.
I'm taking climate action by advocating on the need to reduce carbon emissions.
I am taking climate action by volunteering with ICCBI, where I engage with youth from the grassroots and local communities and help them imbibe climate-friendly lifestyles.
I'm taking climate action by leading a youth organization in which we inform, inspire, and unite the next generation of leaders in the energy sector.
Climate Talk podcast, where I educate thousands of young people about practical climate actions they can take.
What I am doing to help with the planet is being respectful of the environment and collaborating with organizations that take care of it.
I'm taking climate action by making farmers and food producers truly feel their responsibility for producing more sustainable and healthy food.
I'm taking climate action by giving awareness on climate change, disaster management, tree plantations, and distribution program to all the 1.5 million high school students of Manipur.
I am taking climate action by leading a team of young, passionate, renewable energy experts, providing affordable clean energy solutions, and sending out information on the benefit of green technologies.
I am taking climate action by raising the awareness of young people about climate change.
I'm taking climate action by demanding more ambition on the different agendas that intersect with climate.
I'm taking climate action by empowering young people to speak up and be part of political discussions.
I'm taking climate action by having my Fridays for Future every Friday in school, primary, secondary, tertiary institution, planting trees in communities, telling them about the do's and don'ts of climate change, why we need to take action, and why we need to demand for climate justice from our leaders.
And I am taking climate action by pushing for youth empowerment.
And I am taking climate action by working on a platform that can track livestock remotely. So by knowing the exact location of the animals at all times, it can be proven that the animals were not raised in protected areas such as the Amazon rainforest.
At my school, I give talks to parents and families to help them understand the UN goals for climate action.
Leaders, it's your turn.
Leaders, it's your turn.
And leaders, it is your turn.
Now it is your turn.
Dear leaders.
Dear leaders.
Dear leaders.
We, the largest generation of young people in history, are already leading.
I'm taking climate action by advocating on the need to reduce carbon emissions.
I am taking climate action by volunteering with ICCDI, where I engage with youths from the grassroots and local communities and help them imbibe climate-friendly lifestyles.
I'm taking climate action by leading a youth organization in which we inform, inspire, and unite the next generation of leaders in the energy sector.
I'm taking climate action by following a vegetarian diet and reusing products.
I'm taking climate action by working on green progressive policies.
And I'm taking climate action by planting million organic fruit trees with our communities and schools in order to access the carbon market and reinvest the income in building environmental projects.
I'm taking climate action by engaging in tree planting exercises, organizing of climate change trainings for primary and junior school students to serve as climate justice ambassadors and share what they've learned in their schools and communities.
I'm taking climate action by ensuring that there is indigenous women and youth inclusion in climate actions.
I am taking climate action by educating the citizens of Mumbai on climate change.
I'm taking climate action by hosting the Climate Talk podcast, where I educate thousands.
Dear leaders.
Dear leaders.
Dear leaders.
Dear leaders.
We, the largest generation of young people in history, are already leading.
I'm taking climate action by advocating on the need to reduce carbon emissions.
I am taking climate action by volunteering with ICCDI, where I engage with youths from the grassroots and local communities and help them imbibe climate-friendly lifestyles.
I'm taking climate action by leading a youth organization in which we inform, inspire, and unite the next generation of leaders in the energy sector.
I'm taking climate action by following a vegetarian diet and reusing products.
I'm taking climate action by working on green progressive policies.
And I'm taking climate action by planting million organic fruit trees with our communities and schools in order to access the carbon market and reinvest the income in building environmental projects.
I'm taking climate action by engaging in tree planting exercises, organizing of climate change trainings for primary and junior school students to serve as climate justice ambassadors and share what they've learned in their schools and communities.
I'm taking climate action by ensuring that there is indigenous women and youth inclusion in climate actions.
I am taking climate action by educating the citizens of Mumbai on climate change.
I'm taking climate action by hosting the Climate Talk podcast, where I educate thousands of young people about practical climate actions they can take.
What I am doing to help with the planet is being respectful of the environment and collaborating with organizations that take care of it.
I'm taking climate action by making farmers and food producers truly feel their responsibility for producing more sustainable and healthy food.
I'm taking climate actions by giving awareness on climate change, disaster management, tree plantations, and distribution program to all the 1.5 million high school students of Manipur.
I am taking climate action by leading a team of young, passionate, renewable energy experts, providing affordable clean energy solutions, and sending out information on the benefit of green technologies.
I am taking climate action by raising the awareness of young people about climate change.
I'm taking climate action by demanding more ambition on the different agendas that intersect with climate.
I'm taking climate action by empowering young people to speak up and be part of political discussions.
I'm taking climate action by having my Fridays for Future every Friday in school, primary, secondary, tertiary institution, planting trees in communities, telling them about the do's and don'ts of climate change, why we need to take action, and why we need to demand for climate justice from our leaders.
And I am taking climate action by pushing for youth empowerment.
And I am taking climate action by working on a platform that can track livestock remotely. So by knowing the exact location of the animals at all times, it can be proven that the animals were not raised in protected areas such as the Amazon rainforest.
At my school, I give talks to parents and families to help them understand the UN goals for climate action.
Leaders, it's your turn.
Leaders,
anda corriendo para un lado y para el otro, pero
No, I am sitting. I haven't said I'm delighted to be part of that. So or I can sit there. It's just a question of we need to see for it going up and down moderators. What about this one? This one back here. Use the EOSG. Yeah, that's fine. Use the EOSG resource one. Yeah.
Alejandra, hi, how are you?
No worries. Water? Yeah? None? Oh, okay, no worries. I just may need it before I open.
No, of course.
Yeah. Okay, no worries. But I think
Are you fine with us putting on the video?
I would love water before the video, please.
Hi, if everyone could please take your seats. We're going to get the program started soon. Please take your seats. In the next 60 seconds, we're really excited to get the program started. Please take your seats as soon as possible. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Young people are ready to step up and take action to transform their communities and our world.
Young people in our world today are a lightning rod for change. And because it is your future, your environment, you must not take no for an answer.
How's everybody doing? Guys, oh man. How's everybody doing? Much better. Welcome to the Youth Climate Summit of the United Nations. I got locked in the stairs. I almost only had one shoe on. I was ready to scale the building to come back to be here with you. That is how excited I am about what's happening today, which for those of you that hang out here at the United Nations, you know is pretty special. I'm Nadira Hira. I'll be your MC for the day. And in my regular life, when I'm not like hanging out at awesome UN events with all you amazing people, I'm a writer. And I sort of specialize in young people, which means I spend a lot of time talking to not so young people about the younger generation, about what you want, who you are, what you're up against. And frankly, they spend a lot of time complaining to me about you. So yesterday, as I was running around New York City getting ready to be with you here today, I really couldn't stop thinking about that because I kept seeing all these young kids, dozens and dozens of them on every corner leaving the climate strike. And I kept thinking, the next time somebody says to me, man, like, what is up with the younger generation? I'm gonna send them a photo of my full New York City subway car with kids of every stripe and their parents carrying homemade placards that are just incredible and imaginative and ready to change the world. I'm gonna send them photos of the city streets around the world that were yesterday flooded with young people in the climate strike, and we're gonna hopefully bring that energy into today. And I'm gonna tell them about this, because you know what this is? This Youth Climate Summit is the largest convening of youth on climate ever at the United Nations. And as somebody who is maybe on the brink of not so young myself, I have to tell you that witnessing what is happening right here today makes us all so excited to fight alongside you. Because you know that climate change is not a debate. You don't care what you can't do, which is like vote in some cases, right? Because you are so completely focused on what it is you can do. And you are clearly, as so many people have said, unstoppable. So that is what today's summit is about. It is about supporting and showcasing and connecting and creating more incredible opportunities for unstoppable you. Are you ready for that? Are you ready for that? That is the minimum level of energy I expect for the rest of the day. So drink your coffee, do whatever you need to do, because it's about to happen. So, now into the officials. We have 1,000 young people joining various activities organized throughout the day. So a warm welcome to the winner of the 100 green tickets. Where are you? These folks were selected from a group of over 7,000 applicants between the ages of 18 and 29 based on their commitment to addressing the climate crisis and advancing solutions. And they received funded travel here from the UN as carbon neutral as possible, of course. So we're super excited to have them. Welcome too to members of the Youth Working Group who helped shape the summit. I like where our heads are at here. Our friends at Ymca, the official youth constituency at the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. And all the many brilliant climate activists here. And last but not least, welcome to the VIPs and partners who are joining us as well. Cheers for everybody. And now if you're in the right mindset, naturally, I have a whole bunch of housekeeping. So ride that energy wave through the next few minutes. We have a full house today, so those who didn't manage to get a seat will be watching from our overflow room in the basement, which is conference room 3. For those of you here at UNHQ, note that interventions will be translated into 6 languages on the provided headsets. Next, our app. How many of you have downloaded that? Oh, goodness gracious. Okay, so get to downloading very soon. Our event app is for all the info on programming, workshops, lunch, and more. Go to your app store, download Attendify, which I think we have a slide to spell it, but it's just Attend, IFY, and search UN Youth Climate Summit, and there you have it. And that'll give you all the info for the entire day, so it'll be good to have. Second, social media. How many of you have posted today? Oh, that's better. Very good. We would love for you to celebrate not just here, but around the world and engage everyone else in the conversation. So do that online using the hashtag climate action and hashtag youth 2030. We also wouldn't mind if you mentioned Youth Summit in there, so you can do youth hashtag climate action space summit. Just so everybody knows you're at this kind of super special, exclusive, fun event. And be sure to tag @UN and @UN Youth Envoy on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and all the platforms we don't even know exist, but that you are clearly on because you're that cool. We'll also be live streaming the summit at webtv.un.org, which is the UN Web TV platform. Feel free to post that link everywhere so that people can join us. And people are watching around the world. The YMCA Youth Climate Summit Global Watch and Do Party is happening in 50 countries, so give them a huge cheers. Hello. And young people are hosting mini summits facilitated by our partner, the UN Live Museum. Continuing, the SDG Media Zone also has its own tent just in front of the visitor's entrance. How many of you saw that? Yeah, coming in, it's super cool. So check that out. They'll be streaming content with great speakers and conversations throughout the day, thanks to our partner, March for Science, and that will also be on UN Web TV. And for anyone who hasn't downloaded the app in the 3 minutes I was talking, you'll definitely want to do it now. Because when we wrap our morning, there'll be lunch from 12 to 3 and 7 incredible workshops to choose from during that same time. These guys have been working so hard to create an exciting program so you can come out of this experience with new skills and new networks and just a whole new set of horizons. So from a 101 course on how to influence decision makers, to media training from the best in the business, to topics like circularity in fashion, which I clearly need to go to because I had to read that several times to understand it. We've tried to bring it all to you, and we hope you'll take advantage. The times and locations are obviously on the app, but you can also check out our website, un.org/climate change. Click on programs, click on Youth Summit, and all the info will be there. Okay, deep breath. We all set? Are we all set? Good. Okay, perfect. So with that, let's turn to something a little more centering, slightly more serious. The UN Global Indigenous Youth Caucus has chosen someone to guide us through a spiritual ceremony to bless this Youth Climate Summit using the ancient ways of her native land. She is the daughter of the 19th generation keeper of the white buffalo calf pipe and spiritual leader of the Sioux Nation, Chief Arvil Looking Horse. And her mother's traditional lands are actually right here in New York State. Her mother's of the Mohawk Haudenosaunee lineage. She is an activist and youth coordinator for the Global Water Futures Project called Oneganos, which means water is life, and is in 6 Nations, Canada. She has been chosen by the Mohawk clan mother to mentor youth through their rites of passage and has been leading the women dancers since she was 15. And now, lucky us, she's here. So please welcome Mikasa Looking Horse. technical difficulties.
Sego soeguego, makashin yet skinikahagani gohanjoda wakatuhuni. So I'd like to greet all of you and let you know that I'm so honored to be here and let you know that this blessing that I will do for you today is a real blessing. It's not for show because what we are facing today is real. And I'm doing this for our world leaders to put their minds together and so that we can come together and pray for our future generations. So I did not come here to play, or this isn't for show, and this is my real pipe that is sacred to my Lakota people. So I will start my message here. So thank you for your kind words. It's an honor to stand before you to offer the blessing and the work being done here on the Youth Climate Summit. Humans must build a stronger spiritual reconnection to our mother, the earth, an ethical relationship with creation, a natural bond. If that existed among all nations, we would not be facing the catastrophic crisis we are today. If the older generations understood that Mother Earth is a source of life and not a resource. 19 generations ago, a spirit woman, the white buffalo calf woman, brought our sacred pipe. She gave us the 7 sacred rights and our laws. And I'm holding my pipe. The red stone is the blood of our ancestors. And the stem is representing the tree of life, and when you put them together, your prayers are sacred. She declared, we treat all of creation with respect to honor our mother. The primary law is Maitake Oyasin, and that means we are all related. When I put them together, we will begin the blessing. She warned my people of the time we are in today, and that she would return to help us as a white buffalo calf. I will honor her today for her blessing to guide us, the 7th generation. My mother is Mohawk, and her territory is right here in New York City and the Finger Lakes region. Our great law of peace was brought by a spirit man. His name was the Peacemaker. Like the white buffalo calf woman, the Peacemaker appointed Assay to lead. To choose her male chief, we have now 50 chiefs and clan mothers that is still an ongoing government today. The great law is known as the Guyana Lekoa, the Great Peace, the oldest continuous democracy in North America. The Peacemaker also gave us laws to first and foremost heal anyone in leadership so their eyes can see clearly. They'll hear, their ears can hear clearly, and their words will come with ease. And the heart is compassionate, and their minds are good. I'll acknowledge our chiefs that are with us today. He said, the Peacemaker said, the serpents will come upon you and devour all, and all hope is lost. And when you find yourselves in extreme danger, humble yourselves and call my name, the Ganawide. From the bushes I will come, and a bright light will the serpents subdue them. And a bright light I will come, and our ancestors and Creator will guide us We will be nearing the extreme danger now. Blessings all here today, as you two are all leaders. The Peacemaker told the 5 nations to put down our weapons and bury them under the tree of peace. That is not far from here in New York. It's near Syracuse, New York. He said, "The white roots of peace shall move in the 4 directions across earth. All nations can seek shelter among us. United strength to obtain peace, power, and righteousness. So we move freely without fear. I am sure he hears our words today, and his teachings will aid human beings to find our way in the great law. We honor our creation even today. We give thanks to the waters, the winds, the plants, the medicines, the suns, the moons, and everything that gives us life and that is a part of natural creation. We do these songs and dances for them at each season so that they will continue to do their job and give us life, and so that we live a good life and they will continue to be here for our future generations. In prayer, I offer creation thanks. Thanks now. The prayer ends with putting our minds together. So today I ask that we put our minds together so that we may solve the problems that we are facing today with the climate. So I will ask if you could, we will be facing the west. This is traditionally done during a blessing. We'll face the west, and then north and east, and then south. And if you are able to, you could stand up and face it with me as I pray. Times as we try to put our minds together for the youth and the next 7 generations, and that our minds are clear and our leadership heads are clear and they have good intentions with their heart, and their heart is pure and good. Our lands are not pure, and that we as people can come together and unite for the betterment of our climate, for our land and our world, because we are all human. I ask that the waters and the thunders and the plants and everything above, from the ozone layer to the ground, will keep us protected, and that they recognize that we are only pitiful humans, and that we can go and that we can come together, and we give thanks to everything that keeps us alive today. I ask that the sky and the clouds continue to pour down rain so the cycle of life can continue. And I pray that everything above will continue to be there for us and protect us from everything, Yahweh. My last remarks, I wanted to encourage the youth that Crazy Horse has had the vision that the next 7 generations would come together and come together for the world, because we will be facing hard times. And that is part of a prophecy, and that prophecy is coming true today, as this is the first Youth Summit on climate change. He spoke that you are that generation he spoke of, and that the red, brown, yellow, and white humans of all 4 directions will usher an era, and they would come to us and humble your hearts. With that generation, you cannot do this work alone. We must unite. You cannot use only science alone, but from within your heart, you listen to your spirit and connect with creation. Connect with your mother. You can talk to her and listen to her answers. You are all leaders, and you were dreamed of by many holy people. You are here, and as am I, to lead and transform this world. And you are the 7th generation, Maitake Assay. I will be going outside after the morning session is done to smoke the Tonopah and pray with it outside for the youth and our climate summit. If anybody would like to join outside, you are welcome to join. And that will be all of my blessing today. Yahweh.
Thank you to Mikasa Looking Horse and the Global Indigenous Youth Caucus. And I hope you realized, but what happened in here as Mikasa was speaking is exactly what is happening, right? No one knew what was going on at first, and everybody's sort of standing around, and then by the end, everybody was facing in the same direction. So all life is metaphor, right? And we're gonna do much more of that over the course of the day. So, our summit has been blessed, and I'm so pleased to say, is my mic good? That we have the United Nations Secretary General, Antonio Guterres, here with us as a keynote listener, a huge symbol of the UN's commitment to put young people first. And he's here to listen to our recommendations from the young folks and our amazing panel, but he has to leave at 10:40 a.m., so we should really get started. So, one more time, hello live stream audience, hello overflow audience, hello people out in cyberspace. Are you ready to officially open the Youth Climate Summit at the United Nations? Yeah. Woo! And to help me get this largest ever gathering of youth on climate at the United Nations going, please welcome the lead for the Youth Engagement and Public Mobilization track for the Climate Summit and co-host of the Youth Climate Summit and wearer of awesome t-shirts, UN Secretary General's Envoy on Youth, Jayathma Wickramanayake.
Good morning. Hello, everyone.
Good morning.
Hello. Welcome to the United Nations. We have been waiting for you. Thank you so much for coming across the streets across the oceans, across the continents to be here for your commitment. Before we start, I want to acknowledge that many of you who wanted to be here are here, but some of our young friends couldn't be here because of many barriers, including visa denial, financial barriers, and many more. So I want them to know that we are thinking of them, they are in our thoughts, and we are standing in solidarity with them as we kick off this awesome UN Youth Climate Summit for the first time. As many of you know, during the last year, around the same time, the UN Secretary General launched the youth strategy, the first ever youth strategy for the UN system. And since then, this is the largest gathering of young climate activists that we have had here at the United Nations. 1,024 young people registered from over 140 countries. And there are thousands more watching us online and also watching us and joining us from the global watch and do parties that we organize together with the YMCAs and the UN Live Museum. So very big thank you and a welcome to all of those who are joining us online as well. Either you are here at the United Nations headquarters or you are in your country, maybe in your living room, on your couch, joining us with all the comfort. The world has seen your potential. We have seen how you organize your communities. We have seen how you educate your peers, how you even educate sometimes your parents and adults. We have seen how you every Friday come out to the streets and demand climate action from our elected political leaders and big corporations. You know, for so long, young people have been asking for a seat at the decision-making table. Imagine the power of the movement you have created. Today, the leaders are asking for a seat at your table. We have so many leaders here around this room. I see the Prime Minister of Sweden, the Deputy Secretary General, the Secretary General himself, and many ministers around this room who are here not to speak to you, but to speak with you and to listen to you. So let's make this platform. You are our leaders, and the UN has only provided you with a platform. So use this platform to amplify your advocacy, to network, and to make the global striking movement, the global climate action movement stronger. And let's make this youth summit a summit to remember, because there is no planet B. Thank you very much.
Thank you to the UN's Youth Envoy. And now, we're going to hear from our youth speakers. As I've already said, the Secretary General will have to depart at 10:40, so I'll ask all our speakers to keep their remarks to 3 minutes or less. Our first youth speaker really needs no introduction. She's a 16-year-old climate activist. She arrived in New York 2 weeks ago after sailing across the Atlantic on an emissions-free yacht. And if my sources are right, she spoke to 250,000 climate strikers just a few miles from here yesterday. Please welcome, who's coming? Greta Thunberg. So we're doing a little? Next up, now for one of our 100 green ticket winners. He's a member of Jóvenes por el Clima Argentina, a movement made up of young people between the ages of 15 and 19 who are dedicated to fighting the climate and ecological crisis. Welcome, Bruno Rodriguez. Now, from Kenya, she is the founder of Knowledge Group, a conglomerate involved in media, information, and communications technology, sustainability, and inclusive development. And her work for People and Planet has earned her the prestigious Top 40 Under 40 Women Award in Kenya. Welcome, Wanjuhi Njoroge. And last but not least, he's here on behalf of Ymca, the official youth constituency at the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. And he works with the Alliance for Future Generations Fiji, a growing youth network organizing events and projects with local communities to improve landscapes and education on climate across the country. Welcome, Kamal Kumar. She. Gender equity in action. And we'll just introduce our keynote listener. You all know him, the Secretary General of the United Nations, Antonio Guterres. Alrighty, so should we kick off with our first youth speaker? Greta, go right ahead.
I'm very grateful for being here and for being invited here, and I want to thank the United Nations and the Secretary General for hosting this event and for inviting so many inspiring young activists. And yesterday, millions of people across the globe marched and demanded real climate action, especially young people. We showed that we are united and that we, young people, are unstoppable. And I don't want to take up more of your time because I've been invited to speak in the General Assembly on Monday, so I will give the others more time to speak now and just wish you a very good day today, and I know and hope that today will be successful.
Thank you, Greta. Also, generosity in action. So, with that, Bruno.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Bruno Rodriguez. I'm 19 years old, and I am from Argentina. I'd like to thank the Secretary General for generating this historic event in order to include the voices of our generation in the process of building paths towards a habitable planet. The climate and ecological crisis is the political crisis of our time, it is the economic crisis of our time, and it is the cultural crisis of our time. The scientific community was very clear. We are facing an existential emergency, and our world leaders have the obligation to make radical change. But change rarely takes place from the top down. It happens when millions of people demand change. I speak on behalf of the organized Youth for Climate Students movement of Argentina. Our movement understands that the power will see nothing without struggle. And that is why we decided to fight in the streets alongside the working class people of our country and marginalized communities by organizing massive strikes in front of the National Congress in order to stop the criminal behavior of big contaminant corporations and to put an end to the indifference of politicians. The diverse experiences of other countries are something we all need to learn from. And there are different contexts as well as different demands. I come from a Latin American country. The story of our region is the story of 5 centuries of pillage. For us, the concepts of climate and environmental justice are a matter of human rights, social justice, and national sovereignty in relation to our natural resources. That is why we need to demand that the 100 companies responsible of 71% of the world's greenhouse gas emissions transition towards a sustainable path. And we can make this happen by standing together and saying enough is enough. We don't want fossil fuels anymore. Young climate activists all around the world are building a new collective consciousness. There are no frontiers to fight for structural change. Many times we hear that our generation is going to be the one in charge of dealing with the problems that current leaders have created. We will not wait passively to become that future. The time is now for us to be leaders, and that is why we are here, to lead. My message to the Secretary General is simple. Let's stop demanding world leaders to listen to science, and let's start demanding them to act on science. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bruno. And with 1 second to spare. Now let's hear from Wanjuhi.
Thank you. I represent voices of millions of young people in Africa whose future remain uncertain due to the climate crisis. Your Excellency.
No Excellency.
Thank you. I was born and brought up in a village at the foot of Mount Kenya, a major water tower in my country. My community's livelihood is from farming, relying on the rivers that flow from this mountain. We had previously never experienced water or food shortage up until January 2018. We realized it was time to take action. In our response, we harnessed the tools that are at the core of young people's interactions, social media. With the hashtag #SaveOurForestKE, in partnership with some of the biggest activist groups in the country with over 100,000 followers, we started an online petition to save our forests. What started as a fight for our Kafaru forest was now a national conversation. These actions led to reforms at the Kenya Forest Service, a custodian of natural resources. In addition, a national ban on harvesting of forest products was enacted. The government of Kenya has since launched the Greening Kenya initiative in December 2018, aimed at achieving our desired 10% forest cover. To my fellow youth, it is evident that starting where we are and with what we have will cause a revolution. What we are asking for as young people. First, we appreciate that youth are now at the table where the discussions are being held. But our voices and our input must be allowed to influence these decisions. Second, that member states respect and support freedom of expression, more specifically, internet freedom for young people to organize and amplify their voices on matters that matter most to them, especially the climate crisis. Third, for those of us in Africa, adaptation and resilience has become our focus in our effort to survive the climate crisis. We are the lowest emitters but suffer the most. But this is not the time to shift blame. This is the time to work together. We, the over 625 million youth in Africa, therefore ask for support, especially technical, financial, and skills transfer of the youth in their action and innovations towards climate change mitigation and adaptation. As the late Professor Wangari Maathai taught us, I invite all of us to be that hummingbird that puts out the forest fire by fetching water with its small beak, as all the other animals, including the elephant, told her it was impossible. Thank you.
Thank you, Wanjuhi. And finally, Kamal.
Thank you, Excellency.
No.
The United Nations Secretary General.
I have to say that whenever the word excellency is pronounced about me in this UN headquarters, I ask for a fine of $1,000 to help solve our financial problems. But I recognize that this group is not able to pay, so I will not put the fine. But I ask you please to abolish the expression.
The Secretary General, fellow youth climate justice advocates, dear delegates, Bula, and good morning to you all. It gives me great pleasure to speak on behalf of Ymca, the formal youth constituency to the UNFCCC, and part of the UN MGCY coordination team. We are a self-organized umbrella movement with millions of young people in its direct and indirect membership. Young people from different parts of the world are living in constant fear and climate anxiety, fearing their future, the uncertainty of a healthy life, or a life for their children at all. These negotiations on climate change policy started in 1992, even before most of my generation was born, for over 25 years, and the emissions have only risen. The Paris Agreement is rooted in intergenerational equity, and today we call upon everyone, especially the duty bearers and policymakers, to respect these principles. Respect the rights of future generations. Respect the agency and institution of young people. Respect the fact that everyone, from a low-lying country like mine, or a rich country like we are in, has a right to a habitable planet. I belong to the Pacific Islands, a region that has contributed least to the climate crisis, but is suffering the most impacts. Our houses are sinking. Our communities are vanishing. While many countries and polluters only care for their short-term economic growth, the Earth has fundamental planetary boundaries. For many here, this may be about 36 or 70 gigatons of carbon dioxide per year, but where I come from, it is about our very way of life, what lives and what dies. With due respect, between the graded IPCC graphs and multiple scenarios, things are black and white for us. Loss and damage compensation and additional support for low-income countries are still not comprehensive. And let it be clear, we are not insurance policies. We are human beings. We are communities. Is it really too much? Is it really too much to ask you to stop wasting time and walk the talk? Are we really looking forward to a future of false hopes? We young people have the following ask. We demand urgent action to phase out fossil fuels. We ask countries with high historic carbon emissions and fossil fuel giants to stop hindering the walk towards the welfare of the planet for their short-term profits. Young people want to meaningfully engage with the existing movements and be supported, partner with them. It's been less than a year since the rulebook for Paris Agreement, the Katowice Climate Package, was adopted. We call upon you to engage young people in their design of NDCs, of adaptation plans, the policies which will live through. We also call upon you to urgently fulfill our commitments to the Green Climate Fund, to support Article 12 of the Paris Agreement, making sure every young person is educated about environment degradation, to enhance our commitments, and for some, to come back to the Paris Agreement, and others to not doubt the science. And while you do so, remember, we will hold you accountable, and if you do not, remember, we will mobilize to vote you out. From youngos all over the world, we are here in a rightful place to demand consequential climate action. While multilateralism is attacked every day, while climate denial becomes prevalent and environmental defenders are criminalized, we struggle to keep our hopes alive towards the UN and other political institutions. However, we are already demonstrating how much this planet means to us. We have posed schools, defied the odds, and risked arrest. We are walking in our countries. We are leading movements, conducting research, and creating green jobs. Join us. I do not want our future generations to submerge with our sinking islands. We want to give them a chance to be born, witness the diverse beauty of this planet. I hope you want this too for your children and for children across the globe. Vinaka, thank you.
Thank you, Kamal. And now, I won't say Excellency, because I'm not sure if you'll waive the fine for me as well. But our distinguished keynote listener, we would so love to hear your response.
Well, if I am a listener, I probably would not be supposed to respond. But first of all, it's an enormous pleasure to be a keynote listener when we can listen to meaningful things like the ones we heard. And indeed, I've been more times keynote speaker than keynote listener, but that is one of the problems of world leaders, is that they talk too much and they listen too little. And it is listening that we learn, and is giving the possibility for all those that represent today's world to speak and to have their voices being part of decision-making processes that we can move forward. And I'm really very enthusiastic about the leadership and the dynamism of the youth movement for climate action today in the world. When I started 2 years and something ago, I must say I felt very, very discouraged in relation to the perspectives of climate action. We are already facing a climate emergency. we were seeing, I'm not going to enter into technical details about it, but we were seeing this multiplication of natural disasters becoming more and more intense, more and more dramatic, with worst consequences. We were seeing drought in Africa. And namely, in some circumstances, not only making communities unable to survive, but being a factor of conflict, like in the Sahel, where the lack of resources in water was making farmers and herders fight each other, and because of that, facilitating the emergence of conflicts and even the spread of terrorism. We were seeing the glaciers melting, the ice caps disappearing, the corals bleaching, biodiversity being threatened, heat waves everywhere. There was always, in the last few years, since I started, clearly this perspective, there is a climate urgency, things are getting worse. The worst forecasts that were made are being proven wrong, not because they were too dramatic, but because they were not enough dramatic in relation to the reality. And at the same time, there was a sense of apathy. It was very difficult to put these things on the table, and it was very difficult to make decision makers assume the need to act. There was a kind of a laissez-faire in the world. And all of a sudden, I started to feel that there was momentum that was gaining, and this was largely due to the youth movement that started a fantastic, very dynamic impulse around the world, moving progressively with them, their families, their communities, their societies, and based on the societies moving and the voice of the societies being heard, starting to have an impact on the way businesses were acting, on the way cities were acting, on the way regions were acting. And finally, we are starting to see electorates being active on these and governments starting to respond. There is a change. We are not yet there. We are still losing the race. Climate change is still running faster than what we are. We still have subsidies to fossil fuels. We still have coal plants being built. We still have many things that are not happening and should happen, or things that go on happening and should not be happening anymore. But there is a change in momentum. I feel there is a change in momentum, and largely this change in momentum was due to your initiative and to the courage with which you have started this movement and make this movement from a small movement in front of a parliament to, I believe it was the Swedish parliament, no? Some time ago, into millions around the world saying clearly not only that they want change, not only that decision makers must change, but they want them to be accountable. And this question of accountability is essential. Obviously, there are different dimensions on these. There are dimensions related to grassroots movements that at the village level are able to themselves be leaders in climate action. And then, based on that, push their communities, push their societies, push their governments to act. There is the way to participate in an institutional way in the bodies that are discussing these things. You mentioned Katowice. I went to Katowice 3 times. You can't imagine how difficult it is to make things move when you have 193 countries and we have to have all the countries agreeing with the moves that are absolutely obvious that need to be done, but there is always someone with some doubts or some questions or whatever. So we really need a very strong impulse. And your impulse, the impulse of the young people organized to push for the institutional decision-making processes to move is essential. And then you have also this fundamental reflection about injustice. We do not live in a fair globalization. And the dramatic thing is, it's not the African continent or the small islands in the Pacific or the Caribbean that more contribute to climate change, but they are the main victims. It's not the poorest communities that more contribute to climate change, but they are the main victims. And indeed, there is a question of justice and a question of fairness in the way the global economy is organized, in the way power is distributed. And this is also related to climate change. So your reflection is also a very important reflection. We need to have link climate change to a new model of development, a model with more justice among people and a fair relation between people and the planet. And when we look into today's world, I think there is something that is new. We have had conflicts among people for centuries or for millennia since the human race exists. But for the first time, there is a serious conflict between people and nature, between people and the planet. And this could be absolutely destructive for the future of our communities and for the future of our societies. And it's not only a question of glaciers or ice caps or corals, even if that is extremely important, and biodiversity is a vital question in today's world. But it is more and more about the suffering of people. And this will become worse and worse as time goes by. Lots of people are today dramatically dying and suffering because of the impacts of climate change. So we have no time to lose. It does make sense to go on subsidizing fossil fuels. Some people present the subsidies of fossil fuels as a benefit to the population. No, they are done with taxpayers' money, with our money. It doesn't make sense that our money is there to boost hurricanes, or to bleach corals, or to destroy communities, like the ones that were mentioned here in Africa. Let's make sure that taxpayers get their money back and there are no more subsidies to fossil fuels. When people talk, oh, put a tax on carbon, that means more costs for the economy. Not necessarily. You can put a tax on carbon and reduce taxes on people, namely on salaries. And with that, you help solve the problems of unemployment, namely youth unemployment. So there is a win-win strategy that is possible if we combine at the same time climate action with a fair globalization, with the Agenda 2030, the Sustainable Development Goals, and our plans for a more fair and just world in which the resources can be better distributed and better used. And I believe that what the youth is doing today, what grassroots movements are doing today, is absolutely essential for this to happen. I encourage you to go on. Some people say, oh, it's very dangerous, very complicated, all these young people, be careful. No, I'm not careful at all. I encourage you to go on. I encourage you to keep your initiative, keep your mobilization, and more to hold my generation accountable. My generation has largely failed until now to preserve both justice in the world and to preserve the planet. I have granddaughters. I want my granddaughters to live in a livable planet. My generation has a huge responsibility. It is your generation that must make us be accountable to make sure that we don't betray the future of humankind. Thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you, thank you to the Secretary General of the United Nations and our amazing panel, Greta, Bruno, Wanjuhi, and Kamal. It has been wonderful to hear from you. So, I think we have a little video transition, but while they're queuing that up, did the Secretary General of the United Nations just credit you all with the momentum that's happening in the climate change movement, climate action movement right now? Did that just happen? It sure did. You can cheer for that. And did he also do an amazing impression of a crotchety old person standing in your way? That I will carry in my heart forever. So, you are literally seeing history happen here at the United Nations, and this is what happens when we bring young people into this amazing building. So, more to come. You can always cheer for that. And now we're on to our next thing. You guys are really seeing behind the curtain here. Things are happening quickly. So, we've got a great start, and if you're ready for more, we've got 3 questions that they're going to throw up on their slides. Someone run over here and tell me what you want. This may in fact be because we are ahead of schedule, can you imagine? In this downtime, please tweet and post. All right, so we're saying goodbye. We'll just let you go. Please thank you again to the Secretary General of the United Nations, Antonio Guterres, and our panel, Greta, Bruno, Wanjuhi, and Kamal. This is like the Golden Globes.
Global agriculture production must increase to meet the need of the rapidly growing world population.
The way we produce food is degrading the soil.
More trees are being cut down each and every day. This has led to dangerous floods.
We need to up our game and get ourselves well into gear now.
My name is Daniel Sainz.
My name is Augustina Photography.
Oi, eu sou a Luana.
E eu sou o Dudu.
This is Chewy.
Today I will talk about something that is an undeniable part of everybody's life.
Climate change has become the most challenging environmental issues facing humanity.
A besoin d'être repensé, réingénieré pour être plus durable, plus viable.
Our farmers have to be a little creative.
Es una planta que también puede ayudar a bajar la incidencia del cambio climático.
We are calling for a fair and sustainable travel sector. What we need is to transform the way we travel.
Comida vegana, fazemos as entregas de bicicleta e pegamos as embalagens das marmitas de volta.
La pitação se nem combai. La pitação se nemo finança manang kantiro mo nemo le.
So we try and do things that will make it more efficient and also benefit the environment as well.
Each morning we wake, we are faced with two choices. We choose to stand up and use our powerful voices.
We want regenerative agroforestry to go mainstream.
Le sort dépend les uns des autres. Nous n'avons qu'une seule planète.
Knowledge isn't enough to produce behavior change.
Need sustainable innovations. Vital to all lives on Earth.
You can always clap in here. None of this hesitant applause, please. And I hope you all have posted a ton because this has been an incredibly tweetable morning already and it's only 10:30. So I expect to see all sorts of things on the hashtag. So, amazing start. Are you ready for more? Yes. Are you ready for more? But first, we have not just invited you here to listen to other awesome people. We definitely want to hear from you too. And in a session that is coming up very shortly, we're going to turn the mic over to you. So we want to know how you might answer these 3 questions. Now listen up. 1, what motivates you to keep pushing for climate action? 2, what are you doing in your community to tackle the climate emergency? And 3, what is the most important action that you want leaders to take? There is a tweet thread posted on the UN Youth Envoy's account, which is at UN Youth Envoy. You all should be following that already, but just in case. And reply to the thread with your answers. We'll hear some of those responses from you and people all over the world in that upcoming session. And don't stop your social media there. Please make sure to tag us at UN and at UN Youth Envoy and to use the hashtags climate action, mention the Youth Summit, and the hashtag Youth 2030. Awesome. So let's get ready for this next exciting session, and it really is an exciting one. The Summer of Solutions Young Entrepreneurs Pitch Competition. 5 young innovators are going to show you how they build solutions for climate action. And I'll be turning it over to a special host for this. He's CEO and co-founder of Good Worldwide. He's spearheaded the UN Foundation's record-breaking public engagement campaign, Earth to Paris. And his team is here today capturing youth voices on film to present on Monday at the UN Climate Action Summit. So here to be with you for the next session, Max Shore.
Hello, everyone. It is great to be here. We heard from youth this morning. We heard from youth yesterday all around the world, millions of youth. And today we're getting into action. We're getting into solutions. We have 5 extraordinary young people who are finalists. They've submitted ideas as part of the Summer of Solutions in 3 categories: climate information, ethical fashion, and circular economy. And this is part of all of what we are doing right now. is figuring out how we can move forward solutions. We have 7 extraordinary judges from the private sector and the UN. First, Salim Anan from the UN. He's the director of the Office of Information, Communications, and Technology. Suzanne DiBianca is the Chief Impact Officer of Salesforce. Wonderful to have you here. Astro Teller is the CEO of Google X, working on moonshots, making things happen. Liz Hartley is a partner of the Creative Fund at WeWork. They're funding social impact ideas all over to make a better world. We have Luke, I'll let you applause. Yeah. Lucas Joppa is the Chief Environment Officer of Microsoft, and he's doing pioneering work to bring artificial intelligence together with climate solutions. Lucas. Carla Salye is with Iberdrola, which is one of the largest renewable energy creators in the whole world, and he is the Senior Vice President of Climate Policy and Clean Energy. Wonderful to have you here, Carlos. And Noah Kinder is the Chief Sustainability Officer of Nike. And he's been there for a long time, working around the world, and now is really taking seriously this move to zero and how we deal with the environment. So please, a hand for our judges. So this call for submissions went out earlier this year. There were over 150 applicants from all around the world, but we have 5 extraordinary people here today who are going to share. The format is they will do a 2-minute pitch, and there will be 1 slide for each presentation. And then we will hear from our judges briefly after each one, and then we will calculate based on the content of the idea as well as the pitch. And the top person will be with Greta and the Secretary General on Monday morning at the UN Climate Action Summit. With that, I would love to bring our 5 finalists up to the stage. And we are going to start with Edgar Mejia of the 2 to 3 project. Edgar.
So, by showing hands, here in this room likes to drink milk? Yep, yeah, I believe almost everyone. Well, what if I tell you that instead of throwing that empty jar of milk, you can actually transform it into something beautiful for a present or a handy tool? Hello, my name is Edgar Mejia, co-founder of Idea 1.61, and I'm here today to tell you about our project 2 to 3. The latest data that we have tells us that 16 to 20% of all the plastic produced, actually, it's only recycled. This is a smaller number compared to the 25% that is incinerated, and a much, much smaller number than the 55% that end up in landfills every single year. To put this in context, we're talking about covering the entire New York metropolitan area with a 6-inch thick layer of plastic. There are 3 main reasons for this. The first thing is that there is an increase on plastic consumption by consumers. There is a lack of demand of recycled items. And finally, there is a high cost of production, which is due to transportation and sorting. An international team has been working on upcycling high-density polyethylene, which is the second most used plastic, and converting to material for 3D printing. Combined with Idea 1.61, which provides access to and training for 3D printing technology, we can reduce the price of this technology, making it accessible to the general public. In the future, we envision that each household will have a machine that can produce their own consumables, reducing the cost of transportation and production. However, we cannot wait for the future. We must break the cycle. We must become a generation that faces and fixes their problems rather than throwing them into the garbage. Thank you so much.
Now we'll pass it to our judges for brief remarks.
Wonderful, I love it, where there's a machine in every home. You know that those machines don't exist today, so in order for this to happen, making that machine is going to involve some substantial changes both in the materials, how we turn plastics that have already been used into something that can go into a 3D printer, and how a 3D printer could be made cheap enough and fast enough that it would actually get used in people's homes. Do you have ideas about how that could be done?
Great question. So actually, my background is in mechanical engineering, and currently I'm doing my master's in material science. So my everyday life, that's my breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And currently, we're working on making these processes very easy for anyone. And part of the project is to give training for the general public. I believe that many times we're scared about the term STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. However, I think that the general public, one of the things is that they need to participate. This will be available in the future, and as I said, we cannot wait for the future. We need to start right now.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I like the idea of upcycling in particular, taking materials from lower to higher worth is something that we need to be spending a lot more time thinking about as a society. And so this particular solution, I think, to Astro's point, is a really nice idea. I see already that cost curve coming down in the 3D printer space, and so I don't even really have to imagine. I can almost see a future where 3D printing is cheap enough to have in my kitchen or my home. I'm wondering if you can provide some insight into something that I'm less knowledgeable about, which is the materials side and the kind of the purity side of the plastics recycling that actually is needed. Are we making progress in that, or do we still have work to do?
So yeah, one of the major challenges about this is that we have different plastics, and each plastic has different properties, melting temperature, and therefore you have to process it differently. That's why sorting, when we throw our garbage, it becomes the biggest problem, because we need to sort it out. However, if you're doing it from home, and there is already I'm sure that all of you guys are known about the triangle with different numbers, one for PET, then you will be able to sort it out yourself at home, and you can obtain things from different materials depending on what you're looking for. So, for example, you can just buy the design of a toothbrush, recycle it, get it done yourself.
Thank you. And that's time. And thank you so much, Edgar. So a round of applause for Edgar. Working for a circular economy, making plastics into 3D printing materials so that we can keep using the same materials and create less waste. We do have limited, this is the first time this has ever happened, an event like this in the United Nations. This is the first time we're doing it. We don't have a lot of time for questions, but I love that we're having these questions and back and forth, so we'll just keep rolling, but the idea is to comment. And but next up, we have a wonderful, wonderful presenter, Monica Seyfried, and she is sharing her idea for Grow Your Own Cloud. Monica.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Monica Seyfried. I come from Poland, and I'm the co-founder of Grow Your Own Cloud. As an interaction designer, I seek to uncover ethical futures that address the issues we're facing as a planet. In the recent years, we started to grasp the contributing factors to climate change. But what many of you don't know of is the hidden thread of the world's data industry. So our data storage is using as much energy as the entire UK and emits as much CO2 as the aviation industry. We're living in the world where data is the new oil. So isn't it a surprise that the big data is taking us down the same road as the big oil? Now, turns out there's a data storage device that's better, that's more efficient, and has been with us all along. It's called DNA. We can store all of the world's data in a van full of liquid DNA. Grow Your Own Cloud, the project I'm presenting to you today, works with biology as a storage device. We imagine converting things you have in your phones, pictures, videos, live streaming of this event, into ACGTs. This can be synthesized into the liquid form of DNA and even more magically inserted into a plant such as this one you have in front of you for storage. We talk a lot about the need of reforestation these days. Through this project, together with scientists, we imagine creating the first world's data forest. Through building this data forest, we will reduce the CO2 emissions and probably emit the oxygen instead. So I would like you to imagine a future with me where the trees and plants grow instead of the server farms, and people, most importantly, take care of their digital data storage through taking care of the living nature. Thank you.
Thank you. Judges?
First of all, I have to say that I'm Generation X, and that was branded as the slacker generation, the generation that didn't do anything. I like to fancy myself as an exception to that rule, but that's nothing compared to the power of that's represented in this room and the potential for change that I've seen just in the first hour. This is absolutely the kind of thing that we need to really drive fundamental change and solve the problem that we're solving. So credit to you for something that, to me, is incredibly visionary. These are the kinds of ideas that are really going to move the needle. So phenomenal job. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And I would just add, I think these kinds of out-of-the-box ideas are going to get us where we need to go. We can't be just iterating on the current state. And so, again, bravo to you for that. And I would just say two things to think about. So if we think of global data centers potentially being up to 20% of the biggest energy consumers within the next 5 years, the ability to go fast is going to be really key and prototype. I like how you're thinking about storefronts and local communities. And then the second thing is really connecting the message to both emissions reduction, but also carbon sequestration.
Thanks. Thank you.
Great. And we have two giant cloud companies also on the panel. I don't know, Astro or Lucas, if either of you want to weigh in briefly, because fascinating dialogue.
I'm dying to ask, I'm sorry I don't understand totally, how would you get the information back out of the plants very quickly? I think in order for this to really change the world, storing it in the plants would be useful for long-term keeping, but won't really change things because most, as she was describing, is this back and forth quickly with the cloud storage. How would you get them back out of the plants in milliseconds?
So you can store the digital data right now in the liquid form of DNA and therefore in a plant in a very fast pace way. And in order to get it back, you just have to reverse the process, and there are right now devices being built that can support that. So I don't think that's going to be a very big problem.
I love DNA storage is obviously a hot topic in the computing industry in general. You know, I give you a lot of credit. I've thought about it a lot, and I've never considered putting the storage back into a living organism, which is an interesting take. I think if you look at Google or Microsoft or some of our additional companies in this space, we offer different types of storage: hot storage, cold storage. Some of us call it things like glacier storage for things that you just want to put away for a very long time. And this might be one of those ways of storing the world's information in a way that we might not need to get to for a long time, but we might want to keep around.
Thank you.
Thank you. An applause for Monica. Next up, we have Michelle Hahn, who's a high school student from Toronto. Her idea is Sustain-A-Story. It's a sustainability tracker. Michelle?
So hi everyone, I'm Michelle, here to present my Sustain-A-Story solution to the Ethical Fashion Climate Challenge. So Sustain-A-Story is an app designed to spark meaningful engagement with sustainable fashion. In order to meet our 4 core values of education, certification, discussion, and connection, the app has 2 main components. First up is the Traceability Tracker, an organized database that evaluates fashion businesses on their environmental and ethical practices and holds them accountable. So in the prototype, users can scan the brand's logo or type in its name and view an overall and broken down sustainability score out of 10, eco certifications, and more information. The app also offers smaller businesses with scores 7 and up the opportunity to become certified via the Small Business Tracker in the app's own program. This bolsters local artists' environmental credibility and also helps raise sustainable spirit, deflecting dialogue from the digital defaults to fast fashion in our communities. The second component is the networking platform, where users can search up profiles, hashtags, and locations to connect on the topics of environmental fashion and also lifestyle. Information can be overwhelming, so having a designated spot to voice opinions and questions is very helpful for youth engagement. The app also offers a platform that lists the various collaboration, volunteering, and employment positions listed by relevant environmental organizations, charities, and companies, connecting interesting positions with interested candidates. By acting as a unique environmental hub for action and education that holds corporations accountable and inspires individuals, my proposed solution focuses on provoking fashion education, communication, and understanding, and following it up with actual meaningful engagement and environmental opportunities. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Michelle. Kicking to the judges. Yeah.
Michelle, I think it's a very exciting vision that you're placing around how to take the next version of what is now social media and commerce and steering it into a network and a platform that is around sustainability and environmental benefit and more transparency around it. Do you see this app and this platform more as around a commerce platform? Is it more around a network? How do you actually see driving the impact into more awareness or actually changes in the environment?
So I would call it more of a networking platform, because especially with youth, it can be really overwhelming to get involved in learning about the environment, and having a place to ask those questions and voice those thoughts is really helpful. These days we have social media and networking opportunities for basically any type of interaction. So I think taking it further to sustainable initiatives and driving that dialogue with fashion is really helpful in partnering companies and also consulting firms and individuals. Thank you.
One more comment.
Okay, congratulations for the project. I have to say that it's a comment. I think it's very important that you give another attribute, that is the awareness of different issues in the model of production and consumption that we have in our system, applied to everything. So fashion is another issue, and the idea of presenting that allow us to make individual actions everywhere, and I think it's one of the main issues of your project. And two other attributes that you don't mention, maybe because of the lack of time, but is disclosure. Disclosure, I think, is a key issue for all the SDGs, because we need transparency for fulfilling all the commitment that we have. And this is important to make the transparency as you are presenting in your project, and measure and ranking in order to innovate and to make healthy competition in all the people that work in fashion and in the rest of the sectors that we have. And the other very important issue that you present that is the co-creation through collective intelligence. That is very relevant for all the problems that we have in the SDGs, and mainly in the climate change. And in your project, the co-creation through the collective intelligence is very relevant.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carlos. Thank you, Michelle.
Thanks so much.
Michelle. Next up, we have Brighton Mabasa, who's here from South Africa. His project is called My Weather App. Brighton.
Hi, everybody. My name is Brighton Mabasa, and I'm from South Africa. Smartphone use in Africa is growing, and so are the impacts of climate change. We now live in a climate emergency, and smallholder farmers are affected in different ways. The My Weather app was built to address the issues on access to climate information by smallholder farmers, but the reality is weather information and early warnings do not reach to the most vulnerable and the needing. And when it finally does, the information is not widely understood and the information is not adapted to the needs and realities of community. We can change that. So with your smartphone and the MeWeather app, farmers can have access to weather information and rainfall patterns. Farmers can contribute to data collection at their fingerprints. Farmers are empowered to receive accurate information, and they are now empowered to be a new generation of smallholder farmers with built-in sensors on their smartphones. With built-in sensors in the smartphones, with built-in sensors in the smartphone, the app transforms your phone into a tool that improves with community information sharing, and the information supports the farmers in improving the quality and quantity of sustainable food production. With MeWeather app, we are building a climate solution that can address climate emergence. Thank you.
Thank you, Brighton. Comments on My Weather app?
Thank you so much for the presentation, and thanks so much for all the wonderful energy, and this whole experience so far has been such a positive one. I have to ask, before I ask you a question, I have to ask the audience a question. Can I see a show of hands for anybody that's younger than 25? Okay. So I've been working at the UN for 25 years. And so I'm so glad that you're all here. I'm so glad that you're all engaged, because the work that we have to do at the UN and for the planet goes beyond 25 years, it goes beyond 50 years, and is going to be something that we're going to have to continue to sustain. So thank you all for being here, and thank you for the energy and the commitment. Brighton, I have a quick question for you. Have you thought about, the connectivity in Africa varies significantly. It's a very, very big continent. Have you thought about having the MeWeather app also work with phones that are not smartphones, older phones, flip phones, etc.?
Yes, we are working on connectivity so that it can work on different connections, like on internet, SMS, and USSD.
Okay. Wonderful. One last comment from the judge.
Thank you for your energy and for really your commitment to creating what I'm sort of hearing as a group of really citizen scientists all throughout South Africa and beyond, and a community of meteorologists. My question was, had you thought about connecting it with health indicators? So much as we think about climate overall, and we think about small farmers and the increase in production, of which your goal, I believe, is around 3x. How does that relate to health indicators in different regions?
Okay, at the moment, it is only focused on smallholder farmers, like in providing the information to them. But as time goes on, we'll expand it to various applications.
Thank you. An applause for Brighton. Yeah. So that is 4 of the 5 solutions. Our final solution will be presented by Anurag Saha Roy, who's here from India.
Hello. So Africa has the potential to produce 300% more grains than its current annual output. 300%. And the biggest bottleneck in achieving that lies in timely access to weather and pest information. which they need to protect the crops, even more so in today's world where erratic climate and erratic weather conditions are a result of climate change. This hyperlocal information is typically not available outside major urban centers, which is where most of the agricultural activity actually takes place. And even though over 75% of the African population is engaged in agriculture, less than 13% have access to internet, and less than 1% have access to high-speed broadband internet. This is why we built Wikilimo. So it's a seamless online-offline platform that works on any basic feature phone using voice, SMS, USSD. The Wikilimo app lets farmers report their local weather and pest information, allowing us to provide crowdsourced real-time updates using our hyperlocal climate analytics platform. Not only that, the app also acts as a one-stop solution for farmers to get weather updates, information on pest attacks, market prices, information about government subsidies, and above all, a platform for communicating with local farming communities. We operate mostly in the B2B regime because we generate revenues by licensing our platform to government bodies for disseminating information, to pesticides and fertilizer manufacturers for targeted advertising, to insurance firms for personalized premiums on crop insurance, and also as a freemium app on Android and iOS. Now, so let's come together and build the future of climate-resilient agriculture using Wikilimo. Thanks.
Thank you. Judges.
Anurag, thank you for moving the frontier around better access to data and information at a hyperlocal level, particularly in communities and geographies where historically that's not been available. One of the questions that I had around your app is that by providing better access in a situation where farmers today have poor internet access and poor or lack of data, what are they be able to do with more real-time access to this? So you've talked about being able to provide them data ranging from much more further out information like government subsidies and prices, but then there's also erratic weather, having insight of being able to do about that. So what sort of corrective actions will they take? And to what extent will that actually be able to generate, whether it's preventative or corrective measures to actually improve crop production?
Right, thank you. So the platform that we have right now, one of the USPs of that is it sends out actionable insights, and these are preemptive insights. So the app does analytics based on past information about when a pest attack is likely. Like, so a warning goes out to all farmers in that locality using SMS that a pest attack happened of this pest in this locality 1 year back, so you should be careful. So this allows farmers to prepare in advance with pesticides or any local measures that they take. So this is what we believe is key, that we need to warn them in advance. And while corrective measures are always welcome, preventive measures are what we want to focus on, because having a tool, a platform that sends out warnings in advance always helps a lot more than steps that come after an attack.
Wonderful. One more comment from a judge. Yeah. Lucas?
I would just say thank you. Thank you for working in the space. I really appreciate your comment around the need to get a lot of this technology out of the cities and the urban areas where it's so pervasive and into the fields and forests all around the world where we still have so little that we know, but where so much of what we need comes from. One quick question I just had is, obviously the benefits of an application like this really are dependent upon network effects. And I'm wondering just kind of where you are and where you think you need to be to maximize the benefit that you'd be able to provide to farmers in the regions in which you work.
Right, so network effect is basically like all that this depends on, because the more people that use it, the better it gets, which is why we wanted to make it platform agnostic. Again, why we had to ensure that it works without internet, it works with internet, it works on SMS, voice. So I think the key stage right now is to partner with governments, because they have the reach to spread this out into the wild, into the farthest corners, and that's how you get more people on the platform. So government bodies, local meteorological bodies, last mile people who work on this are our key partners at this point, how we ensure that the network effect keeps multiplying across different geographies. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. So we've heard 5 solutions. Now we're going to tabulate the responses to these. But this is not so much a competition as much as something that we're all a part of right now. I think yesterday the whole world saw that young people and increasingly everyone are standing up to protect nature, to protect our planet. And we all need to be a part of the solution. So we heard 5 extraordinary solutions, or 5 wonderful solutions today. We're right now going to be tabulating. 1 will represent this group and also all of us and all of the people from around the world who submitted on Monday, and we'll be talking about solutions. But I think it's really important just to take a step back and say, this is a historical moment that we are in right now, where the world has never gathered as it did yesterday. We've been called to action by young people, which is unbelievable. And now we need to work on these solutions. So what I love is the dialogue from some of the most successful companies in the world with you, but I don't want to limit this to this. This is about all of us being a part of the solution in small ways, in ways in our individual lives, in ways in our schools, in our communities, in our businesses. And I'm just very grateful to be here as part of that. Pretty soon, they will have tabulated the responses and they will bring it up here. And then we will share who will represent this group and all of the young people on Monday. What I loved is I was there yesterday and some of the young people, some of the signs really moved me like I've never been moved before. But some of the young people were saying, this is just the beginning. And I think we heard earlier that this is unstoppable. And I want to just emphasize that the process of solutions is iterative, and I think all of the people who submitted will have a chance to workshop and develop their ideas further and pursue funding, as well as potentially access events or the offices of some of our judges, which is wonderful. And this is going to be part of an ongoing process to keep getting other solutions. I know that pretty much every single person in this room has their own solution, so I just want to shout out that, and with that, do we have... We're still tabulating.
I'm not Vanna White in this
Okay.
scenario, but I thought while tabulating was
Okay.
happening, we could hear a little about you.
Okay. I think that's the
just-
least interesting thing, but thank you.
Beth just swallowed audibly. But Good Worldwide
Yeah.
is incredible.
Yeah. So I'm fortunate to represent over 100 million people a month who come to Good and Upworthy, and we represent solutions and content, creativity, and action. And we've been filming all day yesterday, all around the world. We're filming today, and we will be presenting some of that on Monday as well to represent youth voices. But Good and Upworthy started, and I was 24 years old when I started working on it, and seeing all of you moments ago, but now seeing all of you and what you're doing, it's so encouraging. And so we're here to amplify what you're doing, to get behind it. I appreciate that.
Well, we appreciate you. And I also heard some folks up top were having trouble hearing. Just put your headset on, and you'll be able to hear what's going on down here. Judges, is somebody going to give us a high sign when they're ready?
They're still tabulating. And I think one thing that's exciting is we can learn from all of you in this audience. This is the first ever youth summit, and I know that you all know how to do great events. You know how to bring ideas and solutions, and we're learning with you. In 2015, we were able to be a part of the Paris Climate Summit and bring the summit out of the world and out to the world, into the world. And I think we're just scratching the surface of what's possible. So I hope all of you are able to share what's happening. We are live streaming today, so to the people out in the world, thank you. We know you have solutions too. And I think Lucas has a comment he'd like to say.
I believe the judges have spoken and the answer is in your hand.
This is the answer. I did not realize that. Okay. Can the judges come up and join me? Do you all know already? Okay, so. And the representative from this group is Anurag Saha Roy, Wikilimo app. Congratulations. Thank you. Okay, we'll do a quick photo.
Yeah, we're hiding you.
And then we'd like to also ask all of the finalists to come up to the stage, please. One more round of applause for the Summer of Solutions. This season does not end. We need to keep getting your solutions, and thank you all so much for participating today. Bye.
Let's have a huge, enthusiastic round of applause for our judges, our panels, our winners, and Max Shore. Guys, this is totally like the Golden Globes. And what I want you to appreciate is how unlike ever this happened. Like, this is the most uncommon experience at the United Nations, right? When have you seen people in this sort of environment with so little protocol? The Secretary General just hanging out and smiling and having an amazing time with us and talking to us about substantive things, but in a beautiful and centered and honest and authentic way. That is the impact that youth have when they are in the conversation here, and it is wonderful to see. And it gives me the tingles, so I can't tell you how special this is. And our next session is actually gonna be just as special, because you take the mic. This is the Youth Take the Mic portion of our day, of our Youth Climate Summit. How many of you have posted? All right, we're getting better, but our next speakers are going to take you to task even more. I can't tell you how amazing these guys are, so I won't even try. Please welcome the founder of #OurStories, Yusuf Omar, and YouTube influencer Penny Tovar.
All right. Climate. Is it on? Climate. Action. Climate. Action. Climate. Action. Come on, guys, it's too quiet. We need to hear people need to hear us outside. Climate. Action. Climate. Action. Act. Now. Act. Now. Act. Now. Climate. Action. Climate. Action. Climate. Action. They need to hear us outside, guys. Climate. Act. Now. My name's Yusuf Omar. I am the co-founder of #OurStories. We train communities in 140 countries how to tell stories with mobile phones. And we create shows about the Sustainable Development Goals, which reach about 7 million people a day.
That's amazing, Yusuf. Wow, my heart. Oh. My name is Penny Tovar, and you'll remember because I'm small and brown, like a penny. I am a registered nurse, so Yusuf, please stop showing me your weird rash. I'm off duty right now. I'm a content creator on Instagram and YouTube, and I advocate for vegan, cruelty-free, and ethical beauty and fashion.
Now, you guys know this is the world's first ever Youth Climate Summit. They cannot ignore our voices. Ooh. They will hear us. They will listen to our stories. And you guys have been sharing your amazing stories. In this room, we have change makers. We have innovators. We have the unsung heroes.
Wow. And I know you've heard a lot about a lot of people, but this is not about us. This is about you, the youth. We want to hear from you in this room, right here, right now, and online.
Yeah, so over the last few weeks, we're about to pull up a video from this phone. We were training you guys. Were any of you guys on the online sessions? Did any of you guys feature in some of our online sessions? Raise your hands. Yeah, some of you guys.
Yeah, and #Climate Action.
Did amazing video content using your mobile devices. You created amazing stories, not just telling us what you do, but showing us what you do all over the world, in every continent. And here's some of your voices.
Call you activists, environmentalists, and change makers, but you know something they don't. The world is broken, and only we can fix it.
These women are attached to the bottom of a truck. And they're doing it to fight climate change.
Tasha in Zambia is teaching women to make reusable pads.
Ours is a movement for girls that I started with a group of friends in Zambia.
Adrian is eliminating single-use plastic in Luxembourg.
We are here to beat plastic pollution.
Joy is rolling out solar panels across Nigeria.
We are solving climate change by providing renewable energy for communities.
Kazi helps farmers in Bangladesh and Nepal to get weather reports on their phones.
And
you can dispatch thousands and thousands of SMS and voice messages.
You've got powerful stories to tell.
Say hello to Italian strikers.
We are planting trees.
So tell them.
All right. And the whole world is in this room right now. I was born in London. So who's here from Europe? Make some
Can
noise.
I get a woo? Get some noise.
Woo!
Yes. And I was born in East LA, North America. Where is you? Come on.
I was raised in Australia. Aussie, Aussie, Aussie.
Oi, oi, oi. And my parents are from Mexico, so Latino America. Hey, that's what I'm talking about.
My co-founder and wife is from South Africa. Who's from the African continent?
Yes. Asia, the Pacific. Okay.
Antarctica in the house? No?
No? Oh.
Next time.
This
All
is
right.
only the first one. We'll have more.
So we've put out these 3 really, really important questions, and we need your help answering them both online and offline. Here's the 3 questions for you just as a reminder. We're going to go through them, and we're going to race around the room. You're going to put your hands up. We're going to run to you as quickly as we can, and we're going to engage with you.
Yes.
So the first question. What motivates you to push for climate action? What drives you to make a difference? Show some hands. All right, right at the front. Easy. You got to hit this button and go for it. All right, take mine.
It's seeing the 300,000 people take the street yesterday in New York City and the 4 million around the world, and that's inspiring, and that's how I know that change will happen.
Yes.
That's fantastic. Keep it tight, keep it short, keep it like a tweet. Really, really fast. I'm coming right to the back here. Woo! What
Run,
motivates
Forrest,
you?
run.
As a young person, particularly a young woman from a developing country that relies heavily on agriculture in the Caribbean, I have to ensure that I represent these groups because we are considered among the most vulnerable. So I have to ensure that I amplify these voices and give us a space where we can share not only to our solutions, but our experiences.
Hi. So I'm from Jamaica, just like Janelle. And, you know, as she said, living in a developing country where all our economic sectors are climate sensitive, so it's very important for us to actually join the fight against climate change. And also working in Jamaica for a climate change project where I see the difference where climate change awareness building helps to transform communities. And we're transforming people because when they're aware of the impacts and they feel empowered, and when you equip them with resources so that they can make a difference in their lives, you're improving the quality of life and also safeguarding the future, not just for them, but for the next generation. So that's very important for us in the Caribbean as well. Yes, and not just Jamaica, right? So small island developing countries, Jamaica, in the Caribbean region, and the other regions across the world. So that's very important for us.
I think in my personal experience, we often think about the weather, but the weather has so many consequences. I've been a foreign correspondent for 10 years. I was reporting in Syria during the Syrian civil war. When I spoke to the farmers and the young people, they said that it was the crops. When the crops started running out of water, that's when really protests began. When I was in Nigeria, I met sex workers that had left rural communities when the water ran out. It's all connected. It's all intertwined. The consequences of climate change go all over the place. Let's hear your voice.
Hi, this is a question for Lucas. If Microsoft is so committed to sustainability, why did Microsoft partner with Chevron and Schlumberger this week to accelerate oil extraction? Why are you part of the Climate Leadership Council, a group which aims to kill historic climate change lawsuits? Do you care more about getting contracts from fossil fuel companies than you care about youth? Do you care more about profit than you care about us? Thank you.
I think it's fair. You guys can hold your governments accountable. You can hold companies accountable. Let's just do it respectfully. Let's do it with dignity. Let's give them the opportunity to respond.
Thank you. Perfect. You just have to come over here with the microphone, and then they turn me on. I think that's good. No, thank you for the question. I mean, this is obviously a question that the entire tech sector is grappling with. You asked 2 questions. One, you asked about the CLC, and the second one was you asked about business contracts with the oil and gas sector. For the CLC, I would encourage everybody who's been following that conversation to look at the updated blueprint, which you'll notice no longer includes an indemnification provision. I won't go into the details here, it gets kind of technical, but the issue that you raised has been dropped out of that policy proposal since we've joined. The second issue is a conversation around business dealings with the oil and gas sector, and that's one that the entire tech sector and everybody in the world that we live in today, which is predicated upon an oil and gas economy, has to answer. It's a conversation that we're having inside the company, and it's one that I think you'll be hearing more about both from Microsoft and our peers in the broader tech sector as this moves forward. So I appreciate everybody's concerns. I appreciate you bringing this up in this forum. It's an important conversation that we have to have, and know that Microsoft is thinking about this, and we'll be engaging in this dialogue moving forward. So thank you.
I definitely want to hear more from you guys than these guys. So we're going to keep going. Penny, what's question number
next
2?
Question. What is the most important... Oh, that's your question, my bad. What are you doing in your community to tackle the climate emergency? Any hands, any hands?
What are you guys doing? Tangible.
I will come to you, y'all. Don't worry, I can jog. Yes,
go,
ma'am. I see you with those pretty earrings. I see you. So again, the question, what are you doing in your community to tackle the climate emergency?
This Monday, I launched a pledge not to have children until my government takes serious action to combat the climate crisis. I can speak as to what the climate strikers in Canada are doing, and that is not giving up until we see action. Thank you.
Anybody else?
I'm from China, and I'm from the organization All China Youth Federation, and we have already launched a program, Mother River Protection Operation, for the last 20 years, plant trees and grass, prevent pollution in the rivers, and also raise awareness of education among the young people. So thousands of young volunteers have participated in our program for this 20-year efforts. Thank you.
Guys, we want more voices and less time, so tweets, really fast.
My name is Luisa Chinyavu from Kenya, and I'm representing the Man and Biosphere Reserve, specifically Malindi Watamu. And what we are doing in Malindi Watamu, we are actually converting the climate emergency into a climate opportunity, whereby we are talking to the youths who are actually trying to get back into society from drug use, and asking them to actually use the biosphere reserves as a means of livelihood, yes. So through tourism, we encourage people to live the life that they're on drug use, and now to use the biosphere reserve as a hub to promote themselves.
Thank you so much. My name is Emmanuel Lobillo. I'm from South Sudan. I am representing Junub Open Space. I'm one of the 100 green ticket. And what we're doing in South Sudan right now in combating climate is we are building entrepreneurship spirit among the youths by looking at this problem as an opportunity to develop an ideas in order to tackle them. And right now, as I'm saying, at our space, at our co-working space, we have youths who are already recycling car tires to make them sit and make beds out of it. And some of them are already making chalks out of papers and other stuff, of which is already helping in very many other schools in the rural areas that help education also runs very smoothly.
One more.
Hello, I'm Vania Santoso from Indonesia, and in Indonesia I developed Hey Startik, a social innovation to promote the environmental issue to raise people's awareness in a fun way. So the issues here in Indonesia is because it is quite hard to educate people about the environment, so we try to educate them through fashion accessories products. So this is one of the examples how we upcycle the unused sack of cement into artificial leather so that people will see this as a fashionable product and they will get to know more about the environment. Thank you.
All right. Now, sometimes it feels like the leaders we have today are literally throwing our world away. And the reality is many of them are too old to even experience the kind of suffering that we will. So the third and final question is, what actions do you want from your leaders? What do you want your leaders to do? I'm going around fast. I'm giving you guys 10 seconds each. I want to hear lots of voices. Let's go, let's go, let's go.
I'm Mercure from Guyana. Leaders, we need you to listen to us, involve us in your policy making and decision making planning, provide opportunities on avenues for us to have our voices heard. I know, especially in my country, voices turn into votes. So when you take us seriously, we take the work seriously, and we can lead too, we can govern too.
Thank you, thank you. Faster, faster, short sentences. Let's go.
So, we all know that the economy leads us humans and the ecology leads the entire planet. So instead of spending time in going exploring other things, we should spend enough time in making policies which are sustainable, healthy, and a great integration between economy and ecology. Thank you.
That combination. What do we need from our leaders?
We need them to not only listen to the science, to act on the science, because science is what we know, the facts, and they need to act to solve the climate crisis.
Thank you, thank you.
Hi, I'm Caitlin. I'm here with my twin Lauren, and we are issuing a call to global leaders to plant 1,000 trees for every global youth aged 15 to 24.
Nice, that's a lot of trees. I'm coming here, go for it.
My name is Cassandra Meyer. I'm a Haudenosaunee from the Haudenosaunee Confederacy. I'm from the Onondaga Nation. I'd like our leaders to follow our Haudenosaunee ways, as well as listen to us and our kids, because we need to take care of Mother Earth, and that's the most important.
All right, I'm coming really quickly down here. Jump! Ow!
Hi, my name is Olumide Idowu, co-founder of Climate Wednesday. I want the government to open more space for young people. As my colleague, my brother say, follow the money. We want to actually be part of the money, part of the decision that people on environmental issues. Thank you very much.
All right, and of course, we can't forget our online community. So if we jump online and have a look at some of the comments that are being made online, I want to see what people are saying, what people are talking about. Because, of course, there's very few of us in the room, but there's very many online. Penny, what do we see online? Anything?
Right here.
Where's my globe at? Who's got my world? I can show you.
Okay,
the world.
Yusuf, one more taker for this question.
I work in behavior change, and from my work, I know that it's not just the corporates or it's not just the governments who need to take action. And as much as we need to think about how corporates should, must, or will pay for the damage that they have done, or should change the operations that they currently do to be more sustainable, I want everyone in the room to think about one easy or hard action that they can take to get us closer to reducing the carbon emissions. If it's eating less meat, if it's taking one less flight, if it's doing something that you can do, no matter how small it is, just do it yourself. Don't wait for someone else to take the action for you. Act on it yourself.
All right, cool. I got one more. Okay.
Hi, my name is Neha. And you actually have the chance to vote today. Yesterday, an organization called the State of Youth was launched, powered by Facebook and founded by Kids' Rights. And we're doing a youth preferendum. We're launching it today at the UN. And you have the chance later today to vote about issues that affect climate change and have those results be sent to world leaders. So you'll hear more about it today. But you have the chance today, and I just want to commend all of you on all of the work that you're doing on climate change. So.
Thank you so much. And in that respect, I want you guys to share these stories online with us right now. If you jump onto Instagram and you jump over to the hashtag Our Stories page, you can find these augmented reality lenses. And we've created an SDG lens. So you hold it down, put it on your face, and when the Wi-Fi plays ball, we'll have a lens. You know how it works every time except for when you need to do it? The idea is you can put sunglasses on your face, you can talk about sustainable development goals, and we can have a look at some of the conversations that are playing out on Twitter right now. Let's jump into Twitter and see what people are saying. Jess, treat people like humans who deserve their rights protected. Their ideas must be listened to and their engagement must not be tokenistic. That's powerful, powerful, powerful stuff. What else have we got online?
I am working with my local natural history museum to equip local youth with place-based tools to enact climate action plans in their schools and communities. From Caroline.
Really cool. As a medical student, I put my effort into raising awareness on the impact of climate change on health among future medical professionals and the general community. Small things can make an enormous difference, guys. Small things can do big impacts.
And then the last one, the greatest action our leaders should take is to support young people at all levels to take action.
Absolutely. I think this Take the Mic and this entire event, the Youth Climate Summit, is a step in that direction. This is driven and heard by young people. These are our voices, and the conversation just starts here.
Yes, our session is over, unfortunately, but the conversation is not. So please keep using your platform, keep using your voices, and keep speaking out.
The fact is, this world is deflating. It is not as firm as it should be, and no one can turn this around except for us. We need to shout loud. We need to be heard. We will not be ignored. Thank you very much.
Thank you to Penny Tovar and Yusuf Omar. Did you guys see Yusuf putting his body on the line to get all the way up there to talk to you? And maybe sticking a pin in the world there to make sure his props work? If you have not posted to those questions, if you haven't told other people to do it now. Check out at UN Youth Envoy's account, and you can post directly to the tweet thread. And I have to give a special shout out to my Caribbean people, because when they were talking about all the regions, I thought, the Caribbean hasn't been mentioned, and I shouldn't have worried, because everybody was here, and everybody shows up, and we love that. So, we are going into one more amazing session, and I get to turn the mic over once more. Does this sound as weird in your ears as it sounds to me? Yes? No? We good? Out there? Perfect. It's so funny. Nobody answers when I ask these kinds of questions. But we're here in it together. So, our next session is about nature-based solutions led by, guess who? Young people. You can cheer for that. I'm never going to get tired of saying it. Led by young people. And the hostess of this session is a former international television broadcaster who now leads a consultancy that creates and delivers innovative development and humanitarian solutions for organizations like the UN and the African Union. Please welcome Mark Edo.
Thank you, Nadira. Oh my goodness, how'd you come after someone with an inflatable ball? I have an idea. I heard that some presidents and ministers, in fact, we have a few in the room today, are already in the building. So these are hallowed halls. This is the United Nations, right? So let's break some protocol and give the loudest cheer for climate ever heard in the history of the United Nations. You think we can do that? Can we do that? Yeah? Okay, 1, 2, 3. Aha, that's it. Protocol. Where's protocol? Okay, well, what an amazing and, I suppose, sad year it's been for the climate. You've seen hurricanes devastate the Bahamas. You've seen cyclones rip through Madagascar and Malawi, killing thousands of people. You've seen here in the United States, you've seen flash flooding, and over in Europe, you've seen the hottest summer on record. In my country, Nigeria, there are farmers and Fulani herdsmen killing each other over grass and water. The situation is dire. I mean, we've seen many, many images of that. So it's the year, I think, that the world wakes up to the reality that we are in, as Greta Thunberg called it, an existential crisis, and that we can't ignore that. That's the sad part of it. But the great part of it is you. That's amazing. That is the amazing thing for 2019 for me. Yeah, I mean, I talked about Greta, a girl from Sweden who made a simple act that transformed and mobilized thousands and millions of people. It's incredible what this vacuum of leadership can be filled by the youth. So, I mean, you need to give yourself a round of applause, man, because the world needs you, the world needs youth. Now, it needs youth, it needs you, but it also needs nature. It needs nature-based solutions. These are solutions where both nature and man coexist in harmony to reach us and get us out of this mess that we're in at the moment. So that's what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be having a panel. I think I have some chairs. They've disappeared, but, oh, they're going to be sitting over here, not in the front. Okay. So my panelists know who they are. I'll invite them to come in. You're going to be hearing from some inspiring youth who are change makers and who are leading efforts for youth, by youth, which put nature at the center. I also must say, though, here in the audience, we also have allies of youths, because it's not just about youth, it's about who you partner with. They're working to support youth, to build capacity and highlight their stories and empower them. And last, at the end of this, we're going to see a short video of one of the world's most audacious efforts to combat the effects of climate change. It's called the Great Green Wall of Africa, and it's an $8 billion planting project in the Sahel. We're also going to hear an announcement on a huge initiative to build capacity for youth. And also, after the event, I think over here, you're going to get an opportunity to pick up your signed copy of a book that shows you just how great the work that young people in agriculture is.